And we're off. Hello everybody, and I hope you're all doing okay. Strange times indeed, strange times. Well, we're in the bunker of music here, so come and join us, and we'll keep you warm, we'll keep you entertained, we'll keep you safe, and hopefully we'll keep you happy. Today we are looking at Now That's Local Music 9. I'm amazed that I've got this far already, but we've still got an awful long way to go yet. And I could well have lots of time to do it over the next few weeks. So what we're going to try and do is make our way all the way up to the present day. And along the way, we're looking at all the songs on all the Now albums, just asking ourselves which ones really stood the test of time, which ones you still listen to today. And maybe remind ourselves of some of the ones that fell by the wayside that we don't really hear very often. Now, this first song that you might be able to hear in the background, we'll give it a bit of welly, is rather out of character. Because this is hardly the stuff that you'd expect from a mid-80s pop compilation. Bearing in mind, I think it was recorded in 1959. So it's the first re-release, as opposed to a cover, that featured on an Now album, song number 1. I think we had Phil Collins doing a version of You Can't Hurry Love. But this is the first time, and a pure re-release is made it as the top song, which I find a bit weird. I definitely would have put this on there because it made number 1, but I don't think it's an ideal way to start an album of contemporary pop music. And I'm absolutely not hating on it. It's a great song. It's Jackie Wilson, who's one of the best voices of all time. And in a brilliant claymation video, which was actually made for the programme Arena. People think this song was in an advert. It wasn't. It was just the claymation video they made of it. Made it very popular again. So a big song, a great song, an all-time classic song, but not a very 1986 song on balance, or 1987 even. I think it was Christmas 86, or December 86 anyway. So quite a strange way to start this album, really. A bit out of character. But we'll carry on. Because I don't really have a problem with it. In fact, I love it. Right, much more 1987 is track number 2, and that is Live It Up by Mental As Anything. One hit wonders. We'll stick this one on. I think this is the only song they ever did, certainly their only hit in England. Mainly famous because of a movie which was uber 1987, and that was Crocodile Dundee. And with Paul Hogan, this song was in the soundtrack. Big hit in its own right. Sonically now, we're getting towards that kind of late 80s pop sound. It's getting a bit more slick than the early 80s stuff. Oh, it's Steve Wright. There we go. It's actually a good song. It's soppy, it's middle of the road, it's film music, if you like. But it's nice, it's cute, and you'll be singing along. So there we go, Live It Up, Mental As Anything. And this is followed by, actually, I think, probably one of their best songs, Simply Red. I've talked about them before with Money's Too Tight. I was a bit rude about Mick Hucknall, even though I've never met him, and I don't really have a right to comment on his personality. Like I said, most people think he's a bit of a twat. The Right Thing. It's a strange song because the first 2/3 are alright, but then the last, it stops, and then you've got this section at the end, like a long coda. That's really, really good. Really, really good chord structure. Lyrically, it's a bit gross, it's a bit kind of crass, but he's certainly a good voice over it. Yeah, it's all in all, it's pretty good. Right, number 4. This was the first hit for Erasure, Sometimes. Now, Vince Clarke was no stranger to the charts, having been with Depeche Mode and U2. Erasure would actually then go on to probably be his most successful band, with Andy Bell on vocals. Sometimes was a huge hit. It wasn't their first single. They tried to have a hit and failed repeatedly. And it was probably about their 4th or 5th single. When they did break through, it went number 2, I think. Good song, really good song. Obviously very camp, but what do you expect from Erasure? Right, here's another weird one, number 5. It's C'est la vie, Robbie Neville. And this is another one-hit wonder, similar in style to Live It Up. Again, a few sequencing issues with this album. I certainly wouldn't have put Reet Petite as number 1. I probably would have put C'est La Vie next to Live It Up, because they're both kind of cheer up, always look on the bright side, those sort of songs. What we need right now, I think. So C'est La Vie, I don't know anything about Robbie Neville, but yeah, it was an okay song. Right, number 6, another re-release or remix this time, and that's You Sexy Thing by Hot Chocolate. I don't quite know why it was remixed. In some ways, the remix is just as well played as the original. Not radically different, just got a bit of a more kind of 80s swing beat. Song itself is one of Hot Chocolate's most famous songs, probably most associated with the Full Monty, but I don't think that was quite yet. Right, the Blow Monkeys at number 7, and it doesn't have to be this way. The Blow Monkeys, they were a reasonable band in the mid-80s. Not one of the best, not one of the worst, but they were one of those swing-out sister bands that had 1 or 2 really good songs, and then the rest a bit bland and nothingy. And I think the Blow Monkeys had about 2 good songs, Digging Your Scene and this one, It Doesn't Have to Be This Way. It's got a kind of new jazzy thing almost going on. Almost like a swing revival, but it's still fairly 87. It's even got a bit of a kind of hip-hoppy scratching section in the middle. Right, our old friends the House Martins are at number 8 with Caravan of Love. This again features Norman Cook, although he's just singing oohs and ahs on this one, as it's another a cappella song. Shall we stick it on? Caravan of Love. It feels like it's a kind of attempt to emulate Flying Pickets' Only You from about 3 years ago now. But to be fair to the House Martins, apparently they were doing this song in their live shows. They'd always had a bit of a cappella in there. Yeah, here we go. Quite Christmassy. I mean, if I have one criticism of the House Martins, is that they could be a bit smug, a bit kind of morally superior. And it's so different how sort of Norman Cook reinvented himself, because he's just become sort of party animal. Pure hedonism, and if anything, the House Martins were almost the polar opposite. They were like puritanic. This video's in a church. They're kind of being wacky, and they're doing like penguin walks and stuff. But yeah, bit kind of sanctimonious maybe. Anyway, it's all right. It's a good Christmas song. Now, this is followed up with another cover. I've noticed actually that already we've had one just re-release, one remix, and now 2 covers. It's Boy George with Everything I Own. Let's stick this on. Actually, I think this is really good. It's a really good cover, and it's really good after some of the dross that Culture Club as a band were doing. That George seemed to go right back to his reggae origins. Because don't forget, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? Culture Club's first hit. It's quite reggae. This is a Ken Booth song. Well, in fact, it was a Bread song originally. Ken Booth did an original reggae version of it. So it's not the first time it had been covered. George had hopefully more or less recovered from his heroin issues by this point. The song made number 1. It's a pretty faithful version, but it's kind of real. It feels fairly authentic. It's the music was done by a band I think called Well Red, who were a kind of 80s funk band. Talking of reggae stuff, our old friends UB40 back yet again with Rat in My Kitchen. This is one of their better 80s songs. It's an original. It doesn't feature Ali Campbell on lead vocal. This one features Astro, and as such, it's got a slightly different vibe to it. Bit heavier and a bit harder. And the intriguing lyric about having a rat in your kitchen. What are you going to do? Right, okay, we follow this one up with the Gap Band and Big Fun, probably most famous for Oops Upside Your Head back in the early 80s. Big Fun saw the Gap Band come back into the late 80s with a real carnival song. Still a good song. Quite kind of messy rhythms, but that's what makes it kind of carnival-y. So we like that one, Big Fun. Nothing to do with the band of the same name. Now, 12, 5-star, Stay Out of My Life. They'd actually been having hits for a while, but this is the first one that actually made it onto a Now album, if indeed the only. They didn't have many on Now albums, and it's okay. A lot of their songs are fairly forgettable, but they did have their moments. And this is a kind of above average pop soul song, I suppose you'd call it. We follow that up with Heartache by Pepsi and Shirley, who were originally backing singers for Wham. And Heartache is a very late 80s pop dance number in the Madonna vein. It's well produced and it's pretty catchy, but it's not really something anyone's probably heard for about 30 years. Right, Bananarama, Trick of the Night, 14. One of their least well-known songs, actually. I really can only even vaguely remember it. I seem to remember there was a TV documentary about the video of it, the making of the video, but it's really a sort of substandard Bananarama. Not that they're like the world's greatest pop group at the best of times, but it's hardly Cruel Summer or Robert De Niro's Waiting. It's pretty meh. 15, Take My Breath Away by Berlin, massive hit. Made number 1, I think it was on the Top Gun soundtrack, love theme from the movie, produced yet again by Giorgio Moroder. It's not the best thing Moroder or Berlin have done, but it's definitely got its charms. It's a bit OTT, but it's kind of romantic and soppy. Is it still played? I think it's still well known. It's not maybe as well known, but I don't think it's that obscure. Right, we've got a Great Pretender by Freddie Mercury now. This is an old 60s or 50s rock and roll song, given the Mercury treatment. Stepping aside from Queen for this one, the video had loads of plastic or cardboard Freddie Mercury cutouts. It's kind of it's silly, really. It's not setting the world alight, but it's a good fun karaoke style cover, performed immaculately by Freddie, as you can imagine. Number 17. Another re-release, straight re-release, not even a remix, and this one was from an advert. This is Benny King and Stand By Me. It's one of the classic soul songs of all time, a truly timeless song. It was timeless in 87, it's timeless in 2020. It's just an instantly recognisable ding, 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 ding. Let's stick it on. And I believe it made number 1 in 1987. Oh, there's Venus. But we're going to go for Stand By Me. In 2008, I think, Sean Kingston used this for the pretty dire You're Beautiful. And Benny King had a fair old number of hits. Now, was he still alive in 87 when this came out? Did he see its fame firsthand? Let me just look it up. He looks incredibly young in the photos. Oh yeah, he only died in 2015. Wow. So he would have been well aware of how popular this was. Now this is one of the Levi's adverts. Levi's adverts throughout the late 80s put out a lot of these old soul numbers on their adverts, and then got them re-released as singles. I think When a Man Loves a Woman was another one, not featured on this album, but about the same sort of time. Wonderful World by Sam Cooke. I heard it through the grapevine. So there's a bit of an ethical dilemma there about the use of adverts to sell these songs, but it is making songs well known to a whole new generation of people. So in that respect, it's that can only be good. Right, number 18, Down to Earth by Curiosity Killed the Cat. If ever there was an 80s or a late 80s band in the Swing Out Sister Blow Monkeys mould, it was Curiosity Killed the Cat. That kind of jazz funk, wine bar yuppie sound. As always, first single really good, followed it up by increasingly poor stuff. Down to Earth's great. Well, it's not great. It's okay. It was pretty good. It was a big hit, but it's not played now. Right, the Communards at 19 with So Cold the Night. This song is pretty much about stalking someone or sort of climbing trees to watch through their windows. Presumably with their consent, and they want you to be doing it. And one can also surmise it's probably gay in outlook because it's the Communards. So if that doesn't put you off it, then you'll enjoy it actually, because it's quite high energy again after all their sort of more flowery stuff. But it's got a weird oriental thing going on, so it's pretty experimental. It's a bit odd, really. It's almost a bit sinister. He mixes some really unnatural high notes in it. But I think its edginess makes it interesting. And I prefer the fact I'd way prefer it to Don't Leave Me This Way, because at least it's got a bit of edge to it. Now, talking of edge, we've got a real paradigm changer here with number 20. And I remember when this song came out, and this had a huge impact. People didn't really know what to make of it. There was lots of jokes about it, because it totally did away, pretty much, I won't say for the very first time, because we've had a few instrumentals and stuff, but in a rather striking way, and I'm going to stick it on, it did away with any need for a song, for any need for a vocal melody. And some people might see that as a bad thing. Indeed, they did at the time. They were like, I like it, but where's the song? It's Jack Your Body by Steve Silk Hurley. Now, we'd sort of knocked on the door of house, if you like, with Mel and Kim. Now, we've opened the door and we've actually gone straight into the main room. This is the first bona fide house song on a Now album. The first of what would probably become the most dominant form of dance music over the next 30 years, even 35. Steve Silk Hurley, absolute pioneer of the genre. What I really like about this song is there's not many concessions to pop here. It's this became number one because people put it there. I doubt this would have been played on a radio, certainly not Radio 1. There is a video I can see for it, which is basically lots of black and white footage. Obviously just put together to promote the song. The only vocal is the jack your body. The beat, it's absolutely contemporary, really. Well, I wouldn't say that, but it's really, people are still making beats like this. It sounds like it's either an 808 or a 909. Drum Machine Geek could let us know. It's got that kind of housey groove. Do. Yeah, it's got real sonic impact. And it's kind of fun as well. So I think this is an absolute classic, really. Groundbreaking music. Jack Your Body, Steve Silk Hurley. Okay, now we come to another 80s dance one. Bit more 80s in the traditional sense. It's I Love My Radio by Taffy. And yeah, it's not housey as such, it's more sort of Eurobeat. The thing about this one was that the lyrics go, I love my radio, my midnight radio. Well, my guy, the DJ of the midnight. Radio 1 stopped broadcasting at midnight. And I think someone from Radio 1 pointed out to her that, you know, maybe they want to look at those lyrics. So they put out a UK version, which was, oh my guy, the DJ up to midnight. Just to get played on Radio 1. I don't think it really needed it, to be fair. I think they should have just stuck with the Euro one. But it's a really good song by Taffy, who's not Welsh, I don't think. I think she was from London. Right, okay, that's followed by a guy called Nick Heyman, who you might remember, and the song's called Loving You Is Sweeter Than Ever. And I think that was an old Four Top song, maybe Temptations. It's another old cover. An adequate version. His singing voice is pretty weedy. He was actually the star of the aforementioned Levi adverts, I think. And he had a short-lived career as a pop singer. I think he was very big in Europe. But a bit drippy, really. Wasn't sort of well known for his great music or his great voice. Now we have a real strange one at 23. Let's stick it on. It is a-ha, our old friends, and this song is called Manhattan Skyline. Now this was a real weird, sort of quite a chancy song, really. A very brave song for a-ha to put out. Absolutely not your bog standard sort of Euro pop or teeny boppy stuff. It could best be described as kind of modern prog. It has the gentle waltz intro, and then it goes really heavy. It's a great song, actually. Really, really good song. Really inventive, really original song. Up there with a-ha's very best stuff. Obviously, Morton's voice is great. God knows what it's about. But I remember after the 9/11 stuff, I used to play this a lot. Manhattan Skyline and stuff. It just seemed to resonate. And it's funny how music can do that sometimes, totally unintentionally. It can almost, life can imitate art, if you like. So this is a great song. It's a-ha and Manhattan Skyline. Next up, Sonic Boom Boy, Westworld. I think they were one-hit wonders. Sonic Boom Boy is very sort of primitive sounding. It sounds like it was recorded on a real budget, but it's kind of rock and roll. It's kind of electric, I suppose-ish. The singer was quite fit. Liz, someone. Westwood, even. Nothing to do with the movie Westworld. Sonic Boom Boy, it's a bit kind of shrill, but I like it. It's fun, it's a bit punky, and you notice that the punky stuff's conspicuous from its absence from this album. Okay, Living on a Prayer next up, Bon Jovi. Even if you hate Bon Jovi, if you don't think that song's an all-time classic, I don't know where you've been. It really is. Never really stopped being popular, and it's by a country mile the best song Bon Jovi have ever done. Most famous song. Let's just see how many millions of views it's had. I find it really interesting to gauge the cultural impact of something. Just seeing how well it's done on YouTube. In terms of the music, yeah, I mean, like all Bon Jovi songs, it's not really pushing a boat out, but it's just so gung-ho, this one, I think. It's sincere. They mean it. And if you're going to do a song like this, you've got to go all the way. You've got to believe in it, 100%. I'm just trying to find out the stats, really, just to find out how many views it did have on YouTube. And my computer's gone all glitchy. Followed up by another American Psycho one, and that one is Genesis, Land of Confusion. I actually really like that. I'm not going to go to big analysis of it, but a version was done by Disturbed a few years ago. It's a heavier Genesis song, pretty rocking. Yeah, well worth listening. Good lyrics. Spitting Image did the video for it. There we go. In terms of views, Bon Jovi, this is by far, this has had 658 million views. 658 million views. How's that? That's incredible. Not quite a billion, but not far from it. Genesis, we talked about, Land of Confusion. Another one that kind of goes up there with Living on a Prayer, Final Countdown by Europe. Every time there's a countdown for anything, that song gets played. It's pretty much their only big hit. They had a few others, and it's mainly that synth riff. Now, this is the nearest that you're getting to metal on these now albums. It's absolute cock rock, really. It does have a kind of fairly virtuoso guitar solo in it. It's Europe and the Final Countdown. Only a couple more now, and they're a bit meh. Over the Fields and Far Away by Gary Moore. It's just a bog standard Gary Moore song. You can really hear that it was Phil Lynott who added the spark to Thin Lizzy. The Ward Brothers, Cross That Bridge, I know nothing about really. I vaguely remember it. It was only a minor hit, really nothing-y song. And finally, Hymn to Her by the Pretenders, Chrissy Hines back, and this isn't their best song, but it's a nice ballad, fairly pleasant way to end the album. So all in all then, let's just stick one more thing on. I'm going to stick on Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. Let's look back at Now 9, take the overview. All in all, this is a pretty strong selection now. It's still not really got a kind of cohesive sound as such, but it's very good to have a bit of house coming in now. Reggae and still some soul in there, albeit on the lighter pop side because it is a Now album. There's some metal coming in, or light metal if you like, rock, hard rock. Songs that really stood the test of time. Well, Reet Petite, but it was already like 30 years old-ish when it was on here. Let's see, You Sexy Thing, again, that was already popular. Rat in My Kitchen by UB40, that's one of their best. Take My Breath Away by Berlin, still popular. Stand By Me was popular anyway. Jack Your Body, I think, dance music connoisseurs love it, if not the wider public. I still think Manhattan Skyline is good by a-ha. Living on a Prayer, obviously. Land of Confusion by Genesis, I think it's had real lasting value, particularly following Disturbed. Europe, Final Countdown. So interesting that it's the more rocky ones that are the real standouts here. Anyway, that's Now 9, and I'll most probably be back later today with Now 10. Alright, you stay safe everybody, thank you.